Hello, everyone. Welcome to another match in the SGL 2021 tournament. We've got Hitman1382 and PlasmaKappa facing off in a losers bracket round 2 match. The winner of this match will go on to face Jula Ninja, and the loser will unfortunately be eliminated. So, high stakes match. This tournament is pretty brutal. Yeah, lots of tough matches you'll see here. I'm joined in the commentary booth by Scupula. How you doing today, Scupula?
We're good. So I know there's a lot of ALTTPR going on, but I imagine if you're here today, it's because you either want to see somebody get assassinated on screen, you want to see if the help actually gets sent, or if you like to be able to go to a bomb shop and actually get your bombs. And actually have Eastern where actual Eastern is supposed to be, etc., seeing that it is week 5 in League for Cross Keys. But no, today is just standard casual boots with some tweaks to the item pool. Mostly a lot of heart pieces, not a lot of heart containers, but also swords are capped at tempered. You get one little fighter shield, even though nobody wants that anyway. And no half magic will be on offer today. So just a little extra challenge for our runners.
Yeah, it's kind of like the main tournament hard item pool, only just a little bit tweaked, kind of maybe based off some feedback and some different balancing. I personally like the way this mode works out. I feel like because in hard item pool a lot, like you would still get a lot of hearts early. It's just you would stop getting above 13, so the game really doesn't get too bad until you're doing the climb with green mail. And you're always doing silverless, so there's really no variety in that Ganon fight. Whereas here, you'll see some really low. Sometimes you'll have like 5 heart Dark World with going over to Meyer or something because of the way that the heart pieces work out this seed. And then we have the main difference in this mode, I feel, is the non-progressive bows. We just have the one bow sitting around, and we have the silver arrows as a separate item. So you can get the silvers with no bow, and then you just kind of can't poke them with the silver arrow. You just have to wait till you get the bow to be able to use it.
Oh, and unlike the hard item pull from the main tournament, we do have blue mail on offer. Both mails are in the game somewhere, but once you find one, the other one turns into money or something. So speaking of which, we got 300 life savings right out of the door.
And we got a quick map check. We've got Crystal on Hera with 2 non-green pendants, both on Eastern and Desert.
So tends to skew toward longer seeds. Now these are my kind of runners checking this thing in the rain. That's what I do. But yeah, it'll be a whole lot of Dark World required. Only be 1 pendant in the Dark World, and it'll be the green one. So you might have to do that too. We'll see.
Yeah, and like you were mentioning about that mail, which is the way the heart works out in this game. If you don't get that mail early, then you do end up with a lot more of the difficult games. But on the other hand, if you do end up with an early mail upgrade, then this can kind of still be relatively easy early game. And we see the hammer there in that first chest. So in this mode, you start with a sword, so Uncle doesn't have to give you a weapon, but there's still a weapon just right next to the Uncle chest today.
Yep, the sickle and hammer mode, more or less.
Yeah, so always like to see the early hammers, because once you get the hammer, it becomes less likely that it's going to be an Aghanim required seed, because you have already one of the main pieces for your Dark World access.
There's a lamp, so the fact that the sewers give our runners a light cone no matter what is now actually going to be something we don't have to explain today.
Yep, that's always interesting, because even when you come back for a second time, it's still lit up even if you don't have the lamp. But that's totally moot today because they just have the lamp.
Yeah, super duper rare, I guess. I mean, it's funny you mention it, because why would you come back in here in a standard start? I mean, most you might do is... Actually, no, I don't know why. It's probably happened, you know, just...
It won't happen in this mode because of the boots, but in non-boots modes, you can sometimes have no bombs in escape, so no matter what you do, you can't get any. And then there's something in the back of escape, and there's no glove, and you're either doing Aghanim or going back for escape.
Yeah, and you gotta go through the whole thing.
But yes, in this mode, that won't happen because these runners can just bonk through the bombable walls in the back of escape, and we'll be able to collect the items even if they don't find any bombs.
You know, or you do like what I do some of these days, I swear. just plain old skip Dark Cross or something.
Yeah, well, that won't be an option for the runners today because they have not found the key yet. So pick up the key from that Dark Cross, or else they'll just bonk into the wall.
See, that was a good comment about 5 seconds ago. Before they opened that last chest that could have had the key before that one.
Yeah, and something about this these boot start mode is that there's a lot of boots movement that's really practiced by high level casual boots runners that like you don't always optimize your boots movement for such early game because you don't normally have the boots this early. So it's always nice to see little optimizations like that.
Yeah, and it's something I like whenever new runners start. I like casual boots is something that's real popular. So it's something that I, myself included, was something that you do a lot of to start with, but a while goes by, you realize boots can actually be harder, at least for racing, because it's a whole nother set of rune pathings. That's a word that you have to learn.
Oh, absolutely. If you're trying to be competitive, it's kind of funny because the name casual boots, you think is going to be, oh, this is just going to be for fun. We're playing. You're kind of going easy. Casual boots is actually just one of the most competitive modes for one of the exact reason you mentioned. There's those dash lines in the dungeons, lots of key dash setups that you kind of have to know. Like you'll see PlasmaKappa go for one right here. He lined himself up with the chest and did a dash turn to get that. And there's a lot of little things where if you're newer, the dash boots movement is one of the most important things for an NMG run, and randomizer runs when you actually get the boots. So it's definitely a skill that you need to have.
Yeah, sometimes maybe you don't. Like there's been choices before, you want to run a boot seed, want to run not boot seed. Well, like let's say you haven't eaten dinner yet. Well, you can just play with one hand till you get boots, so you can eat dinner. But we got a Cane of Samaria here already, which is another one of those things up there with the hammer and the Titan's mitts, if you ask me, is one of those things that has a whole bunch of uses and definitely will today with all the pendants being in the light world. It's required for the end of the Dark World dungeons. But
yep, guaranteed to be required today.
Yeah, it's something that you can spend some time looking for, and on top of that, it makes a lot of earlier dungeons real easy to deal with. Speeds things up. Ice Palace has a trick. Skull Woods, you can get to the vanilla big key spot without messing with the statue. The Gibdos, it's nice to have.
Yeah, I agree. And even Palace of Darkness has some places like you can do that dash clip with the stairs, and you can also just not have to push the statue in there. So it's like, I agree. It's like a nice to find item, and it doesn't technically lock too many items. It locks all of Turtle Rock and then one item in Misery Mire and plus right side GT, but that doesn't come up too much for anything but the big key itself. But like you mentioned, it just saves so much time in random dungeons that you really like to get it early, because say you go into Ice Palace without it, like sure, you don't need it to beat Ice Palace, but you'll feel pretty bad whenever you make that decision, because you always can worry, oh, my opponent could have come here later with the cane and saved a minute and a half on me.
It's the little red block that could. Yeah, we got to. Go ahead.
I was just going to point out the tier 1 tree pole being Magic's today, or tier 2, sorry.
So yeah, that's it's nice to have, especially when you have at least one magic using item right now. It's our current and only fire source. But so yeah, some money under the lumberjack tree, and that's not gonna I would say ever probably come into play here for today. Still remains to be seen if we find a glove, but we got a lot of checks to make. So glove and a moon pearl.
Yep. So it's less likely to be an Agassiz, but still not guaranteed not to be one. And we also got to see PlasmaKappa took a quick look at the stun prize today, but it's just 1 rupee because both of these runners are without any bombs. So you want to get bombs before you go into Kakariko. There's a place you can farm them with the Bonk Rocks, but it does take some time. So would have been nice to get some from that tree pole, but alas, no bombs seem to be available in this early game. So just going to have to do the Bonk Rocks.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to get 1, and there they go. Do the well and hope for the best. Or, I guess, well, that's just a nice, easy way to reset that. I never even thought about that.
Yeah. A lot of times you'll see runners do this to get 2, because then you can do both Blind's Hut and the well, and then if you still are that unlucky that you don't get bombs, you just purchase bombs in the bomb shop by the chicken hut before going in.
Yeah, I like to say somewhere in these 10 checks there's going to be bombs, but as soon as I say that, there won't be.
Yeah, and you never know. Maybe you guess wrong as to which one it will be.
Yeah, so there's the silvers already, so when the bow shows up, as we now have both boomerangs for the discerning consumer, we'll be able to pretty much one-shot just about anything besides Viddy and Ganon. There's a glove.
Yep, so now just need the Moon Pearl, so we just need the only way Aghanim is going to come into play today would be if we have the Moon Pearl on or behind Pyramid Ledge, so Aga definitely on life support now.
You know, like, if the only setting you changed was progressive bows from non-progressive, would that have been a bow? I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm on the preferred this way train.
Also, welcome to our Raiders from SpeedGaming 6 with 165 racers. You're just basically missed the boring everything's the same part about the casual boots sort of opening. There was a lot of items in Escape. Also seeing that mirror, which is another item you like to get early, but we got like the hammer and the cane of Samaria from the Escape.
100 rupees lags you out for the rest of the game.
Now we also saw that there was bombs in the well, so neither of these runners are going to have to purchase bombs. You can also bonk for the race game, so that's another benefit of these boot start modes. You're one fewer bomb requirement for Kakariko.
Yeah, there was one chest with a 3 bomb, and then you just both spent one in Chicken Hut there. And I was kind of wondering if somebody's going to buy bombs anyway, because you might be on a route after this that requires more than a few, so do it while you're here.
Yeah, with the weapons they have, it's not necessary that they're gonna need them for something like Mini Moldorm Cave, because you need 2 bombs, one for Mini Moldorm Cave, one for Ice Rod Cave. But you might want some extra bombs, because say, what if you find a bow and want to do a splash leeching setup or something? It's definitely good to not be on the bare minimum amount of bombs.
Yeah, another thing with that Mini Moldorm Cave you mentioned, a lot of times it could be faster, just chuck bombs across. That's like the way to do when you don't have a weapon, but I tend to find out it can be a little quicker sometimes. Cook the bomb a little and chuck it, and you shouldn't get through there with 2 or 3.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely can be faster. The runners do luckily have the Cane of Samaria, which could also help with that.
So here come the splits. Hitman, thoughts? What's he doing there? Oh, he's going up the mountain, and then PlasmaKappa's going to go ahead to South Shore.
Yeah, this is something you'll see where maybe Hitman's just going for the save and quit point, because you're gonna, unless you find the flute, you're not gonna really lose any time doing this. And then say you go to Zora, you can save and quit up to the mountain.
Yeah, it's a choice made, and PlasmaKappa's using block deletion to just do 1 trip inside the dam and out. So it's nice to have either mirror or hookshot for that purpose when you come down here. See, you wouldn't see normally so many heart piece pickups, but there's 32 in the pool instead of 24, and only 3 heart containers. So when it's your health and it's early, you get them.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like getting up to 5 hearts in the light world or 7 in the dark world is pretty big. It goes from, because like with 4 hearts, you do have to worry about dying to those crabs a little bit. So if you can get up to 5, then you can take 2 hits. So it's definitely you see runners going for those early game heart pieces a lot more in this mode.
So yeah, Plasma's going with the bomb strats. May have been the thought when he bought the bombs. Missed a few, but that's okay. And gets a full magic decanter for another option later. Master Sword, Moon Pearl. So that's it for Dark World.
And there's our map check. We see Skullwoods is our green pendant, our reds are Thieves and Swamp, and then everything else is just regular pendant for crystals.
But Skullwoods is an interesting option for a green pendant, because it's not a real dense dungeon. It's more keys than anything if you're looking for items while you're in there, but probably won't see that until Fire Rod shows up, and then even then it'll be just a consideration, I guess.
Yeah, and we're seeing some nice divergence here with Hitman electing to use the mirror and the hammer to go all the way up to the mountain. This play could could definitely pay off for him. It could also punish him a bit if something like Mitts and Hookshot show up in Zora or the rest of the South Shore, because then you're kind of missing out on some checks over here that become quite annoying to get to, especially if it's just the Mitts, because then there's 2 checks that you can get over here that you would have to leave behind, and 2 checks isn't very nice to come back to the mountain for.
It's definitely a call to make. So far, yeah, the waterfall, just half of the checks up here, and that's nothing doing yet, but I don't know, I like to play. It's a goal-oriented thing, even if you don't consider the density of it.
Yeah, because Tower of Hera is our only Light World crystal today, so you're going to have to clear this out.
Yeah, if you had flippers in Kakarika or something, then it becomes a different situation. Maybe you show up over here first, and Hitman, unfortunately, falling down and taking 2 falls with that bomb jump. I don't know. I always go straight up, even if it takes longer, because that thing can bother you.
Yeah, it's a bomb jump that you really want to have well practiced, because you have to bat a pretty high percentage on it to save time, just because if you hit it 75% of the time loss is just so big every time you fail that probably doesn't save time. So you want to be 90-95% on that one. And PlasmaKappa is going to route to Hype K first. He's going to do the same quick map check and make a decision as to where to go next. I think that in this situation, it's pretty easy to just go up to Village of Outcasts after doing. Maybe you go over to like Shovel Guy and Dig Game, because Thieves Town's the only clearable crystal right now for these runners.
Well, there's those flippers from before. I mean, he's already done most of the checks requiring that, so at least you know that's not too required outside of whenever it is that we get to Swamp Palace. But maxed out on offensive weaponry already, so...
Yeah, those flippers are, like you mentioned, they're very nice for when you want to get into Swamp Palace. Definitely not going to be tempted to go into Swamp Palace right now with so much other stuff available without the hookshot. But if the hookshot shows up, that could be a pretty decent place to go to.
Yeah, the package for that would be that, the mirror, and the hookshot, and I've already got the 2. But like it was pointed out earlier, with all this stuff in a seed, and we all tend to see this, as Moldorm goes down, by the way, nice and quickly. You blink, you missed it. And I was not counting items, so I don't know about the basement, but yeah, and I lost my train of thought on that other thing. I do that a lot, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, we could end up on it. Seems like item hunts are the MO of these seeds whenever you get a bunch of stuff early, so we'll see.
Yeah, because when you got if you got a lot of items early, then there's a lot of chests that don't have a lot of items in them later in the game, and then you sometimes get lucky and your one item you need shows up quickly, but more often than not, at least one item is just hiding kind of deep in the seed, and one of those not too quick to get 2 checks.
It was a nice bit of timing on display from Hitman in regards to that berry extinguishing itself before he charged through it. Like I didn't even see the end of the cycle of that thing before it was dead. So that was a good one. And
so far, this mountain really, I don't think we've even gotten a single trackable item out of the mountain yet. We'll see if Paradox is going to end the woes of this yet, but it's been pretty empty up here.
Yeah, I mean, I like to say this, even though a lot of times it doesn't have good results for me, but even if you find nothing, it's a bunch of checks you don't have to think about later.
Yeah, the one thing about the mountain, though, is you want to kind of minimize your trips to the mountain. So if there's nothing up here to punish you for not coming here early, maybe you come back here later and get something. But that fire rod, definitely something worth coming up here for.
Yep, and sometimes that can even be better than a completely loaded Paradox cave, because when another runner is looking for one item, You know, they might have just a harder time finding it.
Yeah, because with that fire rod, you might see Hitman be tempted to do back to Front Skull Woods for the green pendant and maybe get a couple of items out of that after doing Thieves Town, which is will be a fully clearable crystal once he gets the Moon Pearl from Mini Molten Cave.
Yeah, it's not overly likely in the grand scheme of seed generation, but that kind of thing could end up on a chain of required items, and if it does, you can be almost assured that your opponent is not going to come up with that when you did. So.
And meanwhile, PlasmaKappa has made his way over to the Village of Outcast area, like I thought he would make it over there, because we got this fully clearable crystal dungeon here. Got some nice items in here. Hopefully, get some progression from here.
In the meantime, Hitman is he's going to pocket the fire rod for now, instead of going again toward the goal-oriented routing as he was doing, and just going to get this cleared out because. You know, there is a thought that you don't want to let a sphere 0/1, whatever you want to call it, check go by you.
Well, he needs to get the Moon Pearl from here first before he can start.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that was in there.
Yeah, that's the. Otherwise, maybe you might have seen. Sometimes, when you have the mirror especially, you can put off some of the South Shore for later, but not without the Moon Pearl.
Yeah, I'm good at combining stuff on comms. Yeah, we got it. It's fine. Everybody has it.
Yep.
Yeah, he still doesn't have the flipper, so it'll be a question of, you know, does he do all the Zora stuff now? He probably will, given that Zora itself is in logic.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't see PlasmaKappa go and check Zora.
Yeah, I was just going to ask him, like, well, I don't want to... like, why would he not have done it? But I guess he didn't, so...
No, he took the water walk out of the waterfall into Hobo.
Okay.
Because, I mean, he didn't have the money for Zora, and he didn't have the any way of getting the item that's on the ledge, so it's not worth going up there just to check the ledge item.
Yeah, sometimes you see runners will do that, but...
Nothing of note coming out of Thieves Town yet. I haven't been counting the items. I think there should be only one more left, because I saw at least one in the front and one in the attic, and no key in the front. So unless there was 2 dungeon items in the front, and there's probably only one left.
The Hitman taking his little broken heart and leaving, he had to be careful getting out of Hobo to restore your fake flippers, because you do it. There's 2 wrong ways to do it. One of them you get a retry, the other one you soft lock. Nobody wants that. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because you would think that you're trying to screen transition as close as possible, that you jump from the farthest right pixel you can, but you actually don't. You want to be like a 1 pixel to the left of the farthest right, and and then you move down. So it is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a diagonal throws you a little further, because just going straight right, you land short. But then the other way to do it, you don't even hit the water before the transition, and that's the soft lock. So.
And we see that the small key is locking itself today, so no need to worry about the Thieves Town big chest.
Yeah, it's just a tiny little bit of feels bad, at least. Well, if you're me, whenever you have a hammer, and you're like, oh, you can do Thieves Town without having to worry about anything, then you never use the hammer. It's like, oh, well.
Yeah, when you get the hammer in this game, it definitely doesn't feel bad. It does feel bad when you put off the hammer. You put off Thieves Town waiting for the hammer, and then you come in and it's the self-locked small key.
Mm-hmm.
But there, down goes blind on Camp PlasmaKappa side. It got a bit sketchy there, but he was able to close it out with the 2 hearts left.
Yeah, Hitman just spent $500 on a bottle, so at this point, that's 1 more check at the very least. And by the way, that's one more change we didn't mention. There's only 2 bottles in this mode. They're all placed, but the second 2 are transmuted.
Yeah, they become those 5 rupees. If you see a double wide 5 rupee out in the open somewhere, that's probably a bottle. And also thanks to SpeedGaming 2 for joining us here today. We're still kind of just getting started. This has been a pretty item front heavy seed so far. And there we see the flute as well over there on PlasmaKappa side. So even more early items good.
Yeah, and so at least a little bit of one pendant so far is required by that flute being found. He's gonna do the one and done and get on out of here.
Yeah, but if you go into the front of Skullwoods, find a flute, and then you can't do the back, and you have no idea where the last item is, I totally agree with this decision.
Yeah, that's why it has a name and everything. But yeah, so that's needed for Meyer. And now Hitman is gonna do this chunk of Southwest Dark World.
Oh, and another change you mentioned about the bottle. All the bottles will always be empty as well in this mode, so you will never get a bottle of blue potion out in the wild. You'll have to fill up your own bottles in this mode.
So we got King's Tomb and Stumpy, both a whole lot of nothing. Hitman's I guess go to the dig game and save and quit, go somewhere else. So I thought Plasma had that as an option whenever he started Hype Cave. So yeah, we just get to see both choices here today.
Yeah, so now at this point, there's not very many good locations left for our progression to be. We've got Catfish, we've got the back of Skullwoods and the Green Pendant. Then we've got something like an Eastern Palace or Palace of Darkness dip, Swamp Palace dip, or I think that's Spike Cave as well. But I guess Spike Cave isn't in logic.
No, not yet. It's, I guess, Cane of Burner will do it by itself, or if you have a cape, it's going to require a bottle or half magic that we don't have. So.
And that bottle for Sick Kid turning out to be just $50. So that could have been a really big play for Hitman, because I guess with the flute, it's not as hard for PlasmaKappa to get back, but it's really annoying to go back for just the one check. But it's not paying off today.
Yeah, that could have been a good chase. If it did, that's another valuable one, but not so much. He's going to go ahead and, without Titansmiths, take, the in and out to get to the Kakariko portal, and I would imagine do most of what PlasmaKappa just did.
Yeah, the one thing we could see that's different is Hitman, having the Fire Rod, may elect to go into the back of Skullwoods.
Yeah, and he may do that. Yes, that rock makes you think. You have his choice. Do you go down to Village Outcast that's full clearable and required now, or do you just go up while you're in basically the front door? And sometimes that choice is made by whether or not you have a way to get through those bushes quickly. So he chops the first bush, gets a rock, and like, well, what do I want to do? But decides to go ahead and continue on through the Village Outcast.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about the boost start is because, if you don't have the boots, it takes like an extra 15 seconds to get down to Village of Outcasts if you have to walk and swipe or lift up those bushes, versus if you have the mitts or the boots and the sword.
Yeah, but since he has already done everything after basically the part of the Smith chain he can do, and we know that mitts aren't in here, he'll probably go to Skullwoods after all this, so.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely going to be tempting to clear out the whole Skullwoods here for a couple of reasons. One of your next options is going to be over in the Eastern Pod area, so if you're going to turn in the Green Pendant, that would be a decent time to do so. Second, Hitman's not going to have quite as much available to him as PlasmaKappa did when he was over here, because Hitman's already done the mountain, which is the most dense area that PlasmaKappa still had left, whereas when Hitman's done with Thieves Town, he's going to just have those North Dark World checks plus the non-clearable Pod, Eastern, and Swamp, but you never want to really not going to get too excited about those ones.
So what Plasma's doing now, he's bypassing Harry. He's going to go do the east side of Light Death Mountain, and come back to Hera to end at what I imagine would be Spike Cave out of logic. That seemed reasonable?
Yeah, I think that would be the plan if he gets something that allows him to do Spike Cave, but he won't be able to with what we know he's going to get.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, not nearly the kind of hearts you want to see, at least to brute force the thing.
Yeah, I think you need 14 to do it with nothing, no help, and with a fairy. He could probably do it with a fairy and how much health he has. But no bug net and no bottles, that's not going to be something he can do.
Yeah, and just I know this is irrelevant in terms of Spike Cave, but he did come up with a blue mail out of Graveyard Ledge. Yeah, the Spike Cave, it's going to do a heart of damage no matter what arm you're on. I guess you don't wear blue mail on your feet, but that's still a nice thing to have and get out of the way. And Graveyard Ledge is one of those checks that, you know, unless you're still looking for something else, Hitman, in this case, may not ever see it. So.
Also, bad news for PlasmaKappa. The middle Moldorm just dropped a fairy there, so his bomb jump's gonna fail.
Yeah, is a good runner. He may well know this. No, didn't catch it. Although, to be honest, Dane, I learned this from you. That whether you, no matter what happens to that fairy, I didn't know that before you told me that.
Yeah, that's so fairies. Normally, if you have to pick up the item, and he did pick up the fairy, so no matter what, it's you'd get it. But if a fairy is dropped, then the bomb jumps will always fail like that.
Yeah, I want to ask him later because, like, usually whenever that happens, you get that bad altitude value. You can see right away that you know, your bomb jump is limited in range, right? So, you know, he could reclimb if he's comfortable in that jump enough, which I'm sure he is, and just do it again. But opting to just take the stairs and do it the sure way, which is fine.
Yeah, I always have trouble keeping track of who drops what because those Moldorms all move so fast. So it's not easy to do when you're playing to see who dropped what and make sure that your bomb jump will be okay. And even if it is, like, I don't know what, like, I mean, I think you have to just give up on the bomb jump anyway because you have to walk down the stairs to reset the variable anyway. And that was a nice set of switch hits there by PlasmaKappa. I can't say I've seen that one before.
Did I miss that? What did he do?
He used the Cane of Samaria to hit both of them so that the switches would be down when he went in there, which was good because the big key was down there and he was able to get it without hitting the switch again.
Yeah, just one tap over to the mirror and you're out. That is nice, yeah. Okay.
And meanwhile, Hitman's over in his blind fight as well. Looks to be going fairly well so far. Yep, use the sword beams to a bit of an advantage to play it pretty safe there.
So did we get an item count on here this time? Is there anything in the basement?
I believe that there was one item in the first chest, and we'll see if this big chest has an item as well.
Using a perpendicular bonk strata, whatever you call it, to get across that gap a little bit easier.
Yeah, you see that set up a lot with the early bomb jump because it gives you a wider pixel window if you are good at timing the bonk. And the Tempered Sword doing a great job getting rid of Moldorm there.
Yeah, that's a nice thing to have up here, because otherwise your choice is run around with a hammer or do 3 spins with something else, or worse yet, poke strats.
All right, and we are seeing Hitman is going to go Skullwoods back to front, which is generally the way you want to do this if you are going to be clearing the boss. We know that it's not going to be the ideal Skullwoods where both the items are in the back because the flute's in the front right chest. And looks like PlasmaKappa is going to come join him right away. That's where, because there's not really much else over in this area of the Dark World. And yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense just because I think the most dense location you have left that's not, I guess, is Palace of Darkness, right? And if you're going to go over to Palace of Darkness, may as well get the green pendant.
Yeah, it's an item, you know, in the process of checking for another one, or did they find both already? I had to step off, I'm sorry.
There was only one in the front of Skullwoods that they found.
Okay, so yeah, you might get to it once here. Still checking the bridge chest to see you don't have to transition back in and out. It's not a bad idea. Of course, being the big key, if there's still nothing here on Mothula, do you go back to the front and check the big chest? Yes, no, we don't know.
Well, for Hitman, I think it's easy. You do go back there because he's still got the North Dark World and the he hasn't gotten the flute out yet. For PlasmaKappa, I think you still do since you spent the time to come over here.
Yep. Flute crossover again. Forgot you didn't have that.
So yeah, these runners are pretty converged right now. PlasmaKappa is just a little bit ahead in terms of checks since they've both done essentially all of the same checks, except PlasmaKappa's done Graveyard Ledge and Bumper Ledge and King's Team already.
Moth taking a few quick trips into spikes because spikes heal when you're a bug. But just carrying a compass, so there's going to be one more item left. And I don't think Hitman did the whole front, so...
Nope. In fact, I don't even know if he did any of the front. And I think this is one of those Skull Woods where basically no matter how you route it, you're going to have to do. You have to full clear it. When you have one item in the front and the other in the big chest with the big key in the back, that you're just doing all the chests then.
Yeah, so yeah, that was the flute in there, as I now recall, so...
You may get to skip like 1 or 2 chests in that scenario if you didn't do a pinball room and stuff on the way. And if you did the, sometimes you'll see runners come in and just do the front right chest and then do back to front.
Yeah, that's my usual strat. Because if it's a key, you can just run the whole thing. So there's the other one, Cane of Burna, so that does logicalize Spike Cave. New word.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if any of these runners elect to choose that, because it is a check off on its own, but if it's the bow, it could definitely be a big time save and let you single dip Palace of Darkness.
And I'm sure there's more than a few viewers who remember a bow being in Spike Cave in these tournament setups, maybe from earlier in the year.
Yeah, there was that one main tournament qualifier with bow and Spike Cave.
Yep. Now, in that case,
was in progressive bows, and the other bow was like in GT or something.
Yeah, so that was bad because I think it was Cane or Cape or something that was in Pendant Swamp or somewhere that you didn't have to be. So
yeah. All right, so Hitman went and activated that flute. It's going to do the North Dark World, and then yeah, we'll get to see. Could be an interesting point of divergence, though. I think both runners are probably just going to choose Palace of Darkness. Because at this point, none of the options are great. I mean, I guess you could. I could definitely see an argument to do Spike Cave first, just because Spike Cave is never getting any better. I guess maybe if you get the book, you could combo that with Ether Tablet and make it a little bit better, but it's not going to get much better.
So that was a new one for me. Hitman missed the bonk rocks, hit the pegs, which is like a tile and a diagonal away from the rocks, and it still threw the bomb out. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I think that's probably. I wonder if that's the same sort of thing where you can run into the wall in desert to knock the key off. It's the same sort of idea.
Yeah, which I've never gotten to work. I mean, there's a spot on, I guess it's in Death Mountain, where you can knock the ferry out without breaking the rocks, but you actually hitting the rocks there is just like a big earthquake. Batman, they want to hit the gym a little.
Yeah, I think for the to hit the wall and knock the torch off, you just have to nudge against the torch like you're setting up a key dash.
Yeah, and I know I've done that and it failed, so I don't know. It's just one of those things that was never on my list of priorities to figure out. But anyway, since this takes him on the route that PlasmaKappa was on earlier, he is going to get that same blue mail, so if they ever find the other one, it's just going to be a little bit of money. But see, now here goes Plasma to get his, what will be, again, first bottle, so there may be a quick flute back to Sick Kid right after this. We'll see. But
yeah, I think that That Zora skip, when you have the mirror too, like when PlasmaKappa did the waterfall cave without Zora, it feels a lot better when you have the mirror, because then you know you can come over and do catfish like he did and come back and get to the big fish, as long as he doesn't have like your moon pearl or something.
Yeah, so he's just going to the mountain because it's a quick in and out with a old man refill, and I was gonna say flute somewhere else, but he's gonna do Spike Cave first.
Yeah, I think I totally understand this, just because it's not going to get much better unless you get the book, and you may just never get the book or never have to check either tablet. But if there is something like here like the bow, the payoff is just so big.
The Antisera Flippers were in Hype Cave today. So the preferred way to get through Spike Cave without a hook shot, use your magic early, dash through, and then I figured he'd shut it off before the rock, but no big deal, it's just 20 bucks. Hitman may still do it, we'll see. He's now currently on their way to Pod, gonna make a quick stop at Pyramid, check one item.
Yeah, that's the one advantage. So with the way Hitman routed, so PlasmaKappa went up to the mountain right away, whereas Hitman was able to just continue from Graveyard Ledge over to Catfish, and he already did Zora, so didn't have to do any of that. So he's actually probably going to get over to Palace of Darkness a little bit quicker than PlasmaKappa will, which is where I assume PlasmaKappa is going to head over there too, just because it seems like the best play right now.
Yeah, they are going to, well, I was going to say, if he flew straight to 5, they're going to hit each other in the face, but he's here to buy some magic.
Potion glitch. That's what's happening, I think.
Yeah, I figured he'd refill his magic bar and then buy a blue, but
yeah, I think there's no real point in buying the blue, because you're gonna just drink it anyway. It doesn't matter if it's a green or a blue; it's gonna go to waste, basically.
I guess I just, the point was something else, like refill the bar while you're here, type of thing. But he may well have a better idea of the drop packs than I do right now. So.
Oh, there's the hook shot. So I think we'll see a quick abort of this Palace of Darkness strategy and go over to Crystal Swamp Palace instead.
Yeah, yep, there's the flute. I'm gonna stop.
That's definitely an interesting hook shot, because that's just been available the entire seed. Sometimes with these boot starts, you'll have people run over, especially with Pendant Eastern, they'll just run over here, and you gotta be thinking, oh, my opponent could have had that hook shot and done the mountain quicker than me, got to do Harapot.
Yeah, and I think in an instance like this, I feel like they may both decide that, you know, they all did the mountain anyway with that hammer and mirror, just because it was available, and now this hook shot being where it was means, you know, you do it that way, it's still going to get done one way or another. So
yeah, you're just thinking about it. It's kind of like sometimes when you have those really early checks where like your opponent guaranteed could have saved time if all they had to do was decide to go to Sahas that early, it does weigh a little bit into your mind.
Yeah, I mean, it could even point to this dungeon, since all the other items in the package were relatively early too. Like, you know, maybe that's the thought, that somebody did this sooner, and then that'll be a thing depending on what's in here, especially since the mountain didn't have anything besides Spyro.
The one thing is, I would definitely feel relieved a bit to find that hook shot there, because it's about the latest time you could have found that without doing something like dipping a non-clearable dungeon when you have a clearable dungeon available. Because if like that had been somewhere just a little bit further that the runners elected not to check, then they might go into Pod without a bow when they could have just cleared Swamp as a fully clearable crystal.
Yeah, Sawhouse Hut's one of those things that, I don't know, maybe there's a reason to worry, I guess, for me when I run, but I don't know, to me it's like one of those things, as you saw both runners doing here, whenever there's stuff to do, it just is one of those things that gets put off. It gets put off by a lot of runners, so.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I think it really depends. With them getting the mirror as early as they did and knowing Pod's likely to be a crystal, it's not as high on the priority list. But when you have, sometimes you'll have Eastern be a pendant and not get the mirror, and then you can, it becomes a little bit more attractive, because then you just go over there for 3 quick checks and you don't have to worry about you lost the time if you have to walk back over to Eastern, because just hopefully you never go into Eastern.
So Hitman's, with all of those recent developments, is going to be about 15-20 seconds ahead of Plasma doing the same thing. I say I'd imagine they're going to, well, at least one of them's going to full clear. Hitman's just going to go straight to the back. And we still need potentially a lot of stuff, so we'll see how this works out for him. But
yeah, PlasmaKappa has been being pretty thorough on his checks, so I'm not surprised to see him do left side first here. The main thing, so Hitman is a little bit ahead, but PlasmaKappa also has Spike Cave over him. I guess is the one check that I think they've all done all the others same checks otherwise.
yeah, it's just that you put off left side, and it does take longer to get into because you have to get that key from there instead of switching them and using them backwards. So once Hitman is done with Argus here, like I said, let's have to see what he does. But
and we've already seen the map as well, so we know there's at least one item over on left side of Swamp.
yeah, it definitely favors you to go over here whenever you find a map or compass in one of the first two checks. But
yeah, the map wasn't until the sunken chests.
that was oops. Well, anyway.
There's the compass, so there's going to be one item, maybe the big key over here. That's an interesting item there.
Yeah, one of our three favorites. The third one being the bottle, if you don't already have one.
Yeah, and so PlasmaKappa does have the ability to fake Quiver, but that's quite a commitment at this point. And with Powder being out of logic and so few checks left, I'd be a little surprised to see him do it. But he's been pretty thorough today, so on the other hand, I guess maybe it wouldn't be super surprising.
Yeah, probably will just be a flute. Get out of here, save quid, do the thing, flute, scum it if it's nothing.
And so Hitman is going to go back for that left side swamp. It looks like I think the big key is locking itself today. I didn't see that turn up anywhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right on that. One of those money replacements was in this room that Plasma's headed toward right now. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, probably a shield. It could even be a sword. Well, the swords are 20s in this game, so they would have to be a green 20.
Yeah, it was a green 20, so it's one of them.
Yeah, I believe green 20s is swords only, and then everything else is blue rupees. And you can only tell if you find some of the larger items, like the bottle. If you see them out in the open, they will turn into like a double wide blue rupee. And we'll get to see a bit of a showcase as to how much time left side swamp first saves, because I think Hitman was probably 15 seconds ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I'm kind of taking notes here.
So you'll see if Hitman walks out here, I don't know, 20 seconds after PlasmaKappa. This is also not the best case scenario for doing left side first, and that would be if the big key was over on left side, because then you get to save a trip back as well. This is just kind of the regular case where you just get the items and leave.
Yeah, so it's not the worst. But
I think the best case scenario for going back is when the big key is in the back, and you have to, the people who are being thorough have to come back in anyway.
yeah, as we saw, Argus itself, just some bombs, crystals out of the way anyway. We're going to hit that stopwatch here. Where are we at? 46, 53.
So I'm at 54 on PlasmaKappa's clock. So since the clock's like a second off, we'll wait until Hitman gets out. Yeah, so we're about 09, so that's about 15 seconds.
Yeah, minus or plus the 20 from before, so yeah, 30 seconds difference.
Oh, and this is nice. I wasn't even paying attention. I mentioned which ones were the red crystals on that map check, but yeah, this gives them. It's really nice when Swamp is one of your reds, because then you can go over and just walk up right out of here and turn it in.
Yep. And they're both going to do it, so.
Yeah, it's definitely the best check right now, because if not, I think you just have to resume your Palace of Darkness that they were going to do before, except with a brief detour to turn in the mushroom perhaps, because maybe you want Swamp to not be a total bust.
And actually, you're saying it now. I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, they got the Eastern Palace Pendant Dip, and then they've got
Yeah.
Palace of Darkness, but I think you just go to Palace of Darkness first. It's a crystal, maybe there was a bow in there and you can clear it, and if not, then you mirror over to Eastern and hope you find a bow in there.
Yep,
But they're the myths.
Yep, that was the play.
So the myths give you some other options. Now we've got Dark Death Mountain for Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny. We've got Ice Palace, which is a full clearable crystal, which we're probably going to see here. Looks like PlasmaKappa's probably going to use up time over here, turn in the mushroom, maybe buy a potion, and then go to Ice Palace.
See, and sometimes, like, now, like most things I say, I don't know how good of an option this really is, but it says mushrooms just turn into explosives, but Plasma's not going to scum this one. He figures that it's no sense in getting magic bad out of logic. If the game wants you to have something there, it'll give you the powder.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a sort of you kind of feel the seed and how inconvenient is fake powder going to be. So like if he had some reason, let's say Thieves Town wasn't clear, he didn't clear that already. Maybe then you think about fake powder, but there's nothing in the Kakariko area right now, so it would be so out of the way, and there's not that much left in the game. So you'd have to find like powder in Palace of Darkness and have it pay off with something. So it's just doesn't seem likely.
So and. Yeah, we're going to need up to 2 medallions, and we haven't found either, as we now see that Myers Quake. One of the things I was starting to say what I like to do, to whatever effect, is check both once you have the ability, aka Titan's Mitts. Now, Death Mountain is a bit of a climb, but you do have, Super Bunny, Hookshot Cave is at least 6 checks to do while you're up there. That way, if you can find your medallions and potentially get yourself in go mode a little earlier.
Well, so the one thing that would prevent me from doing Death Mountain right now is that we have no medallions, and we have the cane and the fire rod, and we also don't have the ice rod. So you might get tempted to go into Turtle Rock at some point.
Yeah.
Whereas I would definitely go into Ice Palace right here. It's fully clearable. You have the cane, and you can get a crystal. But that's just my opinion.
Oh no, you're right. I say do that, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I can kind of go into Turtle Rock, and I wish I didn't do that. So yeah, you're right. It's just some stuff to think about, I guess.
Yeah, I think that my approach here would be you clear out Ice Palace, you get this crystal. It's not going to get much faster. Maybe you get to go moded later, which would save a little bit of time if you have to go to Ice Tea Room with Icebreaker, but it's not too bad, and it doesn't seem super likely we're going to get a go mode Ice Palace. And then I'd go over to Meyer, check the medallion, maybe dip Desert like PlasmaKappa did. So I'm a bit surprised to see PlasmaKappa dip the pendant first, but that Ether medallion's not inconsequential, and you're going to come over here to do the Meyer Shed and Checkerboard anyway, so may as well.
Yeah, it's not Quake right outside the transdimensional door, but it could need it for TR, so. If so, that's 2 pendants required so far.
Yeah, because I would definitely feel better going up to the mountain with one medallion, because then it's like, okay, if Turtle Rock's going to be required and the medallion's deep, then whatever. My opponent's going to have to double dip too. But if the medallion's out in the open and it's available, then maybe it's something I want to do. Though maybe PlasmaKappa might want it. We'll see where he goes here, because you can flute. You go to Mountain Cave here and either flute, or you could go over and do the mountain too.
Yeah, with ice being immediately, fully available, with all the trimmings, as I say, with the cane for Icebreaker and all that, it makes sense to get this done out of the way too. But I don't think we saw anything good in here.
Did Hitman pick up a potion?
That's a good question.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was a bit worried because he was one hard short of Sword Beam duping, and He was low on magic, but he went in there confidently, so I trusted that he had something.
He had a blue, still has the mushrooms. That must have been before mushroom acquisition.
Or perhaps he's saving mushroom.
Yeah.
And we see PlasmaKappa also coming over to Ice Palace. So I fully expect to see them kind of swap and do what the other one just did. Though Quake being in Ice Palace is interesting because that does give... Okay, so yeah, you just clear out Meyer here then. Because, yeah, maybe you get to go mode it later. But you just... Yeah, so Hitman will just go over and do what PlasmaKappa did. Though might not go into Desert. Will certainly do the Meyer area, though.
Yeah, and there's 2 checks in there in this stage of the game. Those 2 checks could be big, so I'd go right in and do it.
Because at this point, we're looking for Bow, we're looking for Ice Rod, and then we're question mark looking for Bombos. Maybe if Bombos is not, if Bombos is required to enter Turtle Rock.
Yeah, pointing out in chat that another thing when we haven't found an Ice Rod yet and we need it, odds of TR being its location do go up, and seems to happen so much that even if even if you're wrong and you're double dipping TR, it's something that a lot of runners do, and these runners do know each other pretty well. So
yeah, I think if we don't find an Ice Rod in Misery Mire, I think both of these runners will go into Turtle Rock without, or it could be Ice Rod in the mountain, I guess. But you'll probably see a Turtle Rock with no Ice Rod, because if you have the choice between doing Hookshot Cave, Sewer Bunny, and all of Turtle Rock, looking for either the Bow or Ice Rod, or doing Pod with no Bow, I think you'd go up to the mountain, and you can even save your portal from Palace of Darkness, so it wouldn't even be too bad if, say, you find a Bow in Turtle Rock and then go over to Palace of Darkness and get your Ice Rod.
So Hitman's opting to do Meyer now and do the 3 checks surrounding later. So that's a play.
I don't think it's... So the only thing is, if there was a Bow in one of those checks, he would get a bit punished because his Vidi fight would be a lot easier. But with how many items he is from Go Mode, I can definitely understand doing it like this.
Yeah, it's... I'm not as brave, I guess. It's just so quick out there,
Yeah, in this mode, it's unlikely he'll find much help. Although Bow would be the only thing really that would help him for this dungeon.
I guess we know that the 3 aren't anything. But, does he? No, but, you just hope to have to not go to cutscene. Just like any trip through Mire.
And we saw PlasmaKappa did to take advantage of that sword beam duping strategy with the fire rod to crack the shell with less magic. So Nice play over there. It's the reward you get for getting through Ice Palace to Cold Stair with full health.
Yep, and guess this save a potion, which I would mention he still has, since nobody went to Pod to do that potion glitch.
Yeah, he actually swapped it out for a blue, so he has a blue now.
Alright.
He returned the mushroom and drank the green quickly.
People in there multitasking,
And we see a key in that small chest, so we're going to do cutscene today, because it's the big key for sure.
Yeah, it's better this way when you know you have to do it before you get in there, so...
Yep, so those chests are actually intertwined. If you see a key in one, the big key is in the other. Though you never will see someone do cutscene first and then figure out the big key is in the compass room. But if they did, you would know.
Ooh, don't go through my YouTube then.
And we see PlasmaKappa's made his way over to Mire, which, yeah, you get the Quake Medallion from Ice Palace. It's 100% free. You come over here and do your fully clear crystal, and then make a decision after here. And no surprise, there's that big key. I wasn't lying to you guys about it always being there if there's a key in that compass chest, though perhaps the new logic when it comes out will change that.
Yeah, what do they call it? Spoiler key or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just sort of hated to see your last item be there. You go to Vidi, he's got a key or compass or something. You go, what do I do?
Yeah, it's always difficult choice.
We didn't find one yet, did we? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing any items yet.
So it's a key lock chest here, and the big chest, as far as the top is concerned. There's one. And say hi to Viddy.
Yep, so we'll see if Viddy's gonna bail us out with a bow or an ice rod, or if we're gonna be going up the mountain begging to find one of those on the way and hoping not to kind of waste time doing a mountain climb plus Turtle Rock when Palace of Darkness has the ice rod and bow.
Now, stop me if I'm the only one, but when you're looking for 2 items, how much thought do you put into going to pod first?
So I think 2 items makes it more likely for me to go to Turtle Rock, because then I'm not just praying for the ice rod when there's other locations. I'm also could be getting a bow, because who knows how many items in Palace of Darkness are actually available. It might be 0, or I guess it's technically, well, it could be 0 if there's map or compass in the first chest. So you never know with pod. There might not even be any items in logic there.
Yeah, no, I just like wonder what the odds are of finding an ice rod and pod and a bow and TR, and that's just mean.
I would prefer if it's bow locked pod with bow and Turtle Rock and ice rod. I don't think it's that terrible because you get to save your portal. What would be bad is if there's something in Eastern Palace, like say there's bow in Eastern Palace, or ice rod in Eastern Palace, bow on Trinex. That would be my nightmare scenario here.
Yeah, the Forgotten Dungeon, whether it's Pendant or Crystal, because I don't know, Eastern isn't really that much time to dip, but you just don't want to do it. It just doesn't feel good.
Well, yeah, it's got a couple things going for it. 1, it's a little long. 2, it's always available. So like your opponent could go in there and get it really early, and you kind of, if you've already put off a chest the whole game, it doesn't feel good to go back to it. And it's not just particularly dense. The check per minute is not good compared to something like pod.
Plus, maybe there's something to this, but I feel like there's an experience factor in there too. Bows is supposed to be an Eastern, per Nintendo, but how often have we seen it there in Rando? Pod, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, there's just not as many item locations.
And you see
and
stuff.
We see Viddy's just a piece of a heart today, so we're gonna see what decision Hitman elects to make here.
Yeah, just a half a heart for Olimire, but had to be done.
So there is an argument, I think, to do Smith Chain here, just because Smith Chain is the check that you're going to be doing with the mirror, whereas the other checks that you would be no mirror, which means you can save your portal.
Another thing we haven't seen is a book, and that opens up the end of Smith Chain and another tablet, so there's options for how this could go. I mean, not a lot of options in what to do now, but
yeah, I think that this is the sort of seed where you can take a risk or try to be aggressive depending on how you feel. Because I think the aggressive play is just go straight to the mountain, hope you get something. But I think a little bit more conservative play is to do like Smith Chain, because you're thinking about saving your portal and hoping that if you do those mirror checks, maybe you get a bow or something and you don't have to do them. But otherwise, you get to save your portal. Unless it's stupid book in Turtle Rock for bow on Bombo's tablet, in which case you just have to deal with that. The seed is terrible, and that's nothing else to be said about that.
I'm trying to think, because this Hitman's getting this big key and he's going to turn into ether real quick. Was that 1 item or 2 out of desert?
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, there was a map in front of the big key. The only thing I missed was the map chest, because then that's one more thing.
And the torch, I think, was nothing.
Yeah. There it goes, so it must have been 1.
Yeah, with Hitman going to the back here. And so for the fans of the pedestal is alive only for Ice Rod or something leading to Ice Rod, like Book or Shovel. So it's on life support. I guess technically powder too, even though they could have fake powder.
Bombos?
Okay, yeah, I guess bombos, but that seems so unlikely because that would mean the boa has to be in Powder Eastern. But yes, yeah, if we have bombos required Turtle Rock, yes.
So I need to run a tracker because I know I remember catching myself saying, oh, there's not much left to do, and then we just came up with 6 things that could be possibilities.
There's not much good left to do.
Oh no,
There's
no.
a lot. There's a good amount of stuff left to do, but not a good amount of good stuff left to do. It looks like PlasmaKappa is electing to do that little bit more aggressive play I mentioned, where you just go straight up to the mountain. It's by far the most dense, and even if you don't get anything, it's pretty likely that Pod would then have the answer. So you're thinking you can probably save your portal here, and if you don't, then you just have to hope that the seed is just bad, and I just have to do a bad seed faster than my opponent.
Yeah, and payout chances just went up too because Hitman came up with a nickel from the worms. So doesn't feel good, but it's not completely terrible whenever pet is still a thing. So we'll see. Now Plasma, for his part, starting to maybe question his life a little bit whenever he hook speeded himself off the ledge and then got dead rocked on the second attempt. That was just, you hate it.
Yeah, those dead rocks are not fun.
So we're going to get a medallion requirement here, and 66% says Plasma's good.
Yep, so that Pendant Desert was required. So Pendant Eastern right now is the only one left out of having required progression. We'll see if it stays true that way, or if Eastern maybe comes up with a bow or ice round.
And it's almost certain that Plasma's going to make up a minute or two here on Hitman by virtue of not having done land moan. That's just rando, but 6 checks at the front door. Going to see what's there today. There's 2 down, 13 bombs, because you need a lot. Hitman's going to do the mushroom. 3 more bombs. Might even pick them up, I don't know. At this point, I think it's a bolt out the door.
Yeah, he's already got 9 bombs.
Yeah, refilling a potion and see ya.
All right, let's see if Hitman makes the same decision that PlasmaKappa did to go to the mountain. And it looks like he is. So yeah, this is the most dense spot, so not surprised. Like I said, if Viddy didn't bail us out, we're probably going to see both these runners do the go into Turtle Rock and hope for some sort of progression.
And so all 6 in front of TR are a bunch of nothing. But Hitman's almost certainly going to do it anyway. And missed the quick swap there. Oh well. Better than hitting the mirror when you don't mean to, that's for sure. Right in front. No big deal.
Yeah, there's been some pretty tragic quick swap mirrors or quick swap medallion uses that we've seen. So Turtle Rock generally has the items in the back. So though it would present a bit of an interesting decision if you find a bow here, but I think you still just clear out Turtle Rock because the risk of, first of all, you're thinking about saving your portal anyway. Second of all, the risk of not go moating pod when you could is too big. If you say found a bow in this first chest with the spikes.
So there's 2 smalls. Gonna get compass checked here real quick. It's, I guess, could be anything at this point. There it is.
Well, that's a very good item to find here. So now Turtle Rock is fully clearable, and also that kills like Pedestal and stuff. We're not going to have to go to Armos Knights at all. So this seed, it's lost a bit of the terrible things it can do. It can still do some annoying things with the book and the shovel, but no Pedestal will be required. Armos Knights won't be required.
Yeah, I'm gonna relent, and I feel like I can say that bow looking like Laser Bridge or Trinix. Well, we'll say it would be nice. You know,
Yeah, I think at this point they've got Mimic Cave and the rest of Laser Bridge. So Mimic Cave plus West of Turtle Rock is 5 items. Then Pod's going to have 0 to 5 items available. Eastern has 2 to 3.
yeah, I like to think of Mimic Cave as just another TR item, like another dungeon that has checks in it that you can only get with certain items. So
Yeah. And then we've also got wild cards like the Smith Chain. I think that's really the only other overworld left.
yeah, I just feel like it'd be pretty mean if the seed sent us somewhere else at this point. I mean, it's happened, but
Yeah, I think you just try your luck again. If you go through here and don't find a bow, you just go over to Palace of Darkness looking for a bow. If it's bow locked, you leave and go right into Eastern looking for a bow.
mm-hmm. So, yeah, and then everybody's got to do lava chests, the big key being there, which means everybody's going to have to go. And, well, obviously they will anyway. Mimic Cave and big chest and all that, but
And we'll see. So sometimes when runners are 1 item from go mode, normally you do Mimic Cave before doing big chest, right? But sometimes you'll see runners do big chest before Mimic Cave, specifically when they're 1 item from go mode, because you get to save a decent amount of time if you skipping big chest versus skipping Mimic Cave. Like the cost benefit it's worth it for some people.
yeah, it's been looked at. There's extra transitions in the process, but you spend long enough in Mimic Cave that if it's in the big chest, you're fine. If it's not that much of an addition. So there it is. Or well, no, this is Mimic Cave. I didn't catch the mirror. I thought we were just gonna do like you said. But
Yeah, I think it also depends on like how much is left in the game. At this point, I probably would have done it, but it's such a minor thing that.
mm-hmm. Yeah, Plasma made pretty darn quick work of those mimics, gorillas, what have you. So that's done and out of the way. It's just the nickel.
Yeah, those mimic rooms are really nice because all mimic rooms they're basically no RNG. So if you just have enough practice on them, you'll be able to get really quick at them.
So it jumps just a compass in the big chest. So Laser Bridge is holding something. At least 3 items, maybe 4. Or, well, I guess it's got to be 3.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be. Have we seen the map yet?
I
don't think so. So
no,
it's
but
going to be 2 items plus a key, right?
Yeah, 2 and a key, or maybe the map's on Trinex. I don't know.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because Trinex could have the last thing.
But being as Plasma and Hitman both made the same decision, we are going to have almost assuredly a real close race here, despite the fact that Hitman did land Mullis.
Yeah,
Now
it's like the main difference in this race is Hitman did land Mullis and PlasmaKappa did Spike Cave, and land Mullis takes longer. Because I think the way that Hitman routed actually worked out pretty nicely for him, with even though the mountain was pretty bare, the fact that the fire rod was up there and PlasmaKappa had to go back to the Skull Woods, and then Hitman was able to go straight from King's Tomb to Catfish. Those little routing efficiencies helped him. Also doing Ice Palace with Fort Mire, but the land Mola's kill is just the big difference right now.
Yeah, and well, with no Laser Bridge payouts, you know, it's still on PlasmaKappa's tracker, land Mullis, so
Yeah, I think if you skip land Mullis already, I think you have to go to Pod and Eastern. It's
Yeah, there's-
1 check versus like 6.
yeah, I had that thought. It's just called, how many more spicy plays do we have left in us today, I guess, but
And PlasmaKappa's been playing relatively conservatively so far, so I'd be surprised to see him take a gamble like that.
yeah, Plasma's doing the backdoor stuff on Trinex, and then wanted to be a little careful with the fire rod again with no half magic. I guess still has a potion in case something went really wrong, but either way, we got exploding turtles. Soon to see what else besides a crystal that we need. So Nothing but the ice rod for its own dungeon in here today.
Yep, so as much as these runners, I feel like we've been on the edge of going to Palace of Darkness for about 40 minutes now. It's just we keep getting one item right before you would go there that pushes you away, but I think it's finally, Pod's time has come. It's inevitable. You're going to go into Pod with no boat. But maybe they'll do Smith Chain and just make me look wrong, and let's look like what he's going to do.
Yeah, there's plays to be made, like you said. The land mo's at the bottom of that list for Plasma, but I don't know, we'll see what shakes out here. Could be all the way in purple chest, just as easily it could be right in front of Eastern.
Yep, we'll see. None of the options are particularly great. Smith Chain is pretty fast when you just have to turn in the Smith and then flute away. I guess they have hammer pegs as well, too. So from an item density play, yeah, this makes a lot of sense because, like, there's 3 guaranteed items here. Pod has maybe 0, maybe 5. Eastern has 3, so this makes a lot of sense, yeah.
So then if this bow doesn't show up in the next 2 seconds... It's another bottle. I want to mention Hitman still has a mushroom and Plasma doesn't, so that gives another check. Out of logic still, but something that the Hitman...
Oh no, Hitman turned in the mushroom.
I thought somebody skipped it.
He didn't do it immediately, but he did do it before coming back up here. So let's see if Purple Chest is going to pay off, or if we will finally make it over to the Palace of Darkness in Eastern. And then it'll probably be Pod's Bowlocked anyway. It's really anticlimactic about how Pod's been next in line for going to and never ends up doing anything. Or plot twist, Bowlocked Pod, but it's Bowlocked by having a bow in the first chest. But nope, Purple Chest has the bow, so PlasmaKappa will get to dodge the bowless Pod. He's in go mode, so very good there for PlasmaKappa.
Yeah, considering this seed, that's 1:14:45, a heck of a go mode time still. Could be worse.
Yeah, I think PlasmaKappa's route has worked pretty well. He just be really thorough, clear your dungeons. He never had to do any really bad checks. You're just going through good to mediocre checks and getting your items along the way.
Yeah, and so now I'll mention, like, if it was me, I would have done Pod Eastern well before Smith Chain, just if it was me, and we'll see what Hitman does after coming up with blanks and Spike Cave, but
and this is an interesting seed, because if you would have, like I mentioned, did Smith Chain before going to the mountain, you get your bow and then you clear out Palace of Darkness, but you full clear it. Whereas if you had gone to Turtle Rock first, you would get to go mode Pod. Now, granted, you get to save a mountain climb doing that, but sometimes it's interesting where finding the items you need earlier can be detrimental, and this might be one of those cases, because PlasmaKappa is just going to go straight to Helmet Sword King here. I guess it depends where the big key is, and it's right there. So yeah, this is a really nice, because you just open the chest. Maybe you get a free key, but you're gonna get a key in Bowlock side, so you just go right to Helma.
Yeah, that big key was the last thing anybody needs besides GT big key when we get there. And since Hitman is doing the Smith Chain also, we still have a race. I mean, it didn't look good there for a while, but he's not going to get distracted, and we have a race that's going to come down to GT routing here, I think.
Yep, definitely GT routing, any execution in climb. There's definitely still outs for Hitman here.
And he does pick up that bottle, which means he's going to, if he's picking it up, he wants to fill it at some point, so that's another little bit of time, but at least I figure he does.
Yeah, you might consider it, because he's not super high on health and will be going to GT, so maybe thinking about going to Potion Shop.
Can't remember. I mean, I guess we knew Plasma still has a potion still. I don't know if Hitman does, but
I think actually, so someone drank their potion in Turtle Rock. I can't remember if it was PlasmaKappa or not.
Oh, yeah, so I missed that entirely.
Yeah, they drank it on the way to Lava Chest. But luckily, these runners both have blue mail, 10 hearts, silver arrows, tempered sword, so even without a potion, the climb shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, so I'm kind of surprised at the bottle pickup, so I guess we'll see what he does with it, especially after coming up with this bow here in the next 15 seconds or so.
Yeah, you can. It could also be just autopilot, like, oh, you normally pick up bottles in this mode, so pick it up anyway.
Yeah, I'm much more likely to pick them up whenever there's stuff in them, which you can see before you pick them up, thankfully. But
and we know there never will be stuff in it in this mode. And there's Hitman getting his go mode bow there, so going to be following up. So yeah, PlasmaKappa's about a Palace of Darkness ahead of Hitman right now. But a very quick Palace of Darkness, because this is one of the quickest possible Palace of Darkness that you can get.
Yeah, the only exception is if, well, I guess choose not to do shooter room and just go to Bullock side, and there's one key and a small key and a big key. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I would wonder if small key in shooter room plus big key in bridge test and small key in skeletal basement, if that's going to be faster than this one, but I'm not sure. Maybe big key in skeletal basement would be better, because then you go jump down there, mirror, and then go to the bridge. So now that PlasmaKappa has collected his 7th crystal, we will start a game. We don't have the bot, but you can pick a number between 1 and 22 as to where you think the Ganon's Tower big key will be, because there's 22 locations in Ganon's Tower. That'd be 21 chests plus the torch. And so you can get your guesses in chat as to where you think it'll be. Scubula, what are you feeling like today for your big key guess?
Well, I like to channel a close race if it entirely possible, and that's really funny because you just said what I was going to say. So let's go 16.
Yeah, I have always been 14 for this, mainly because my brother wore 14 in high school, and it's a cool number for where the big keys are in the chest, because it puts it often in either compass room or rando room.
Yeah, all my fancy numbers tied to life are above 22, so I could throw it in there, but it'd just come off as mean.
I mean, we have had sometimes 23. I've seen 23 win before, because someone was answering a question. It was either 23 or 24. They were answering a different question, and the bot picked up their guess of 24, and it won because nobody guessed 21 or 22.
That's good, yeah. That'd be a nice thing to have back, but Cinec's got his plate pretty darn full right now with everything going on, so props to him, by the way, for making all of our lives fun and easy.
Yeah, absolutely. The volunteers in this community is really built on the back of volunteers, so big shout outs to anybody that helps put this together. And also, now that we're towards the routing portion, or we're towards the just pure execution portion, definitely give these runners a follow. They've been putting on a good show. Good to see some cool personal streams of theirs, and you can interact with them. It's really cool.
Yeah, and a little anecdote I wanted to mention. PlasmaKappa's been around for years, right? And Hitman kind of came around, as far as I know, just after me, as we find Bombos on Bob's torch there. But Hitman has put in a lot of time, a lot of work, and gotten to a real high level real quickly, so he's a heck of a runner.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many resources in the community nowadays with people sharing tips and Discord and practice hacks. There's a lot of good ways to get good. Also, we're still keeping count, so we're now up to 7 checks have been checked and no big key yet, so keep on looking. We'll have some chance for divergence for a route, because we saw PlasmaKappa did the Hope Room looking for a key, then go to Compass Room, but no key showed up, so maybe Hitman could do that Stalfos Room mirror strategy to get over to the right side first. We'll have to see when he gets there.
So 8's down with just 3 bombs. 9's going to be in the fire snake room, and then up to 13 in rando room after that per PlasmaKappa screen. Doing fire snakes the smart way and not trapping one in a required path like I do every seed I run.
Yeah, you do want to trap it if you're doing the bomb jump in cross keys, but not in this one. Or I guess if maybe it's a hover seed and you are bomb jumping for the big key. So we're 313 and no big key.
So I have this debate in my head now that it's relevant, is when you get to rando room and you're still playing, does it make maybe a little more sense to go right side from there and mirror instead of going through all these little portals?
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you're going to do that strategy, you probably want to do the rando rush approach, where you do sort of the inverse of the hope and go right strategy. You do Stalfo stream, and then if you get enough keys, you go south to rando room. Otherwise, you go right to the compass room.
Yeah, the only thing I know, is it's kind of like what you were saying, I guess, is now that I'm thinking about it for real, is that, you spend an extra key doing it that way.
Yeah, so you need to get enough keys. Like if you go to Stalfo stream first and go south, you need to find 2 keys if you're going to open the fire bar room. Otherwise, you'll get locked out of the randomizer room. Yeah,
and it reminds me, I actually did do that once, and there's our non-half magic, and there's our big key at, what was that?
16.
Yep, so, yay me!
Yeah, you got it. Good job, commentators, with blessing, getting the big key correct.
Yeah, thanks for taking my pick.
Yeah, I stole 14 and you were able to win with 16. So that's actually, Ice Armos is very good for that route that that PlasmaKappa chose. And Hitman's choosing the same route, so he's not going to lose any time. There's not very many routes that get to Ice Armos faster than the no small key, hope first strategy. You could do the rando rush and get the keys, but rushing Ice Armos is generally not ideal. So that's one of the places where if you do the Stalfos room mirror strategy here, then you would do the extra 4 checks on the right before hitting to Ice Armos.
So yeah, PlasmaKappa is off and running. It's an execution fest as always from this point. So PlasmaKappa is good at that, no doubt. So some stuff's going to have to happen for Hitman, who currently does have nothing to do with those Stalfos. I think Plasma did the same thing. I don't blame either one of them.
Yeah, that Ether Medallion is really nice. It just kills things quickly, and those skeletons can be quite annoying.
Yeah, and it took Rando to learn how to do Samaria with the Wizribs up top, because it was Ether Medallion all the way for years for me. And still the preferred method if you happen to be up here without a red cane, which happens from time to time, but
especially if you're tuning into cross keys a week, because sometimes you have some early GT climbs in that mode. But PlasmaKappa is making quick work of this climb so far, using the silver arrows to his advantage that we are able to get in this mode now, so doing a really nice job.
I didn't even see much of Gauntlet, to be honest with you, so he gone.
Yep, GT is definitely one of those places where you want to have your execution be really tight, because if you're playing standard modes, you're going to be doing it every seed. So if you spend time practicing it, that's going to be instant returns on your finish times, because it's just you always do it, and it's always basically the same way. Maybe you have a little bit of equipment differences, but it's just always good to invest time in getting good at the climb.
So, that pre-Torches 1 bridge there, that one can be a little bit of a funny one. We had a 1.0 death hole required reset not too long ago, but despite that possibility, I think most people still just go through the door and just dash through and hope for the best. I mean, there's something that determines where those guards are going to be. I have no idea what it is, but
you just hope for the best, I think.
He had a little bit of a bounce there, but
yeah, that would be awful to get death hole. The death hole, for those not familiar, is when you would die while falling in a hole at the same time, and your game gets very upset and you have to reset. It doesn't even look like Link to the Past. It just looks like a blurry screen. PlasmaKappa electing to open that chest. I guess arrows might have helped if he missed 11 shots on Ganon, but with this mode, it's... Though I don't know if they found that many heart containers. I guess maybe you could find one of those, but there's not really much left that could help.
Yeah. Like I never do and always tell myself to do. Take notes, see what you're going to ask him in the interview, because I already forgot the first thing I said I was going to ask, but I would have just been curious what he was looking for there, if it was just because it's validation, you know.
Sometimes it's just muscle memory on there.
Yeah. See what it is. Like I lost a race a little bit ago and I did Towel Room hoping for a play, and it was the mirror that we didn't have the whole seat. And I was like, you know what, I lost, but I felt good because I found the mirror and it was really cool.
Alright, and Ganon 2 goes down on PlasmaKappa's side, so just a Ganon fight separating him from victory today. And meanwhile, Hitman has made his way to the climb, so this is really just a... PlasmaKappa had about a climb of a lead. And we saw one of the main differences being that Lionel was clear by Hitman.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have changed things too much. This climb's still 4.5, 5 minutes, but there's a good balance of all skills necessary to complete this seed in as much time as either runner did here today, which is always nice to see. Rando's fun, but you don't want to see something decided by Rando too often.
Yeah, both these runners routed pretty well. Just a little bit of differences based off small choices, and that's a lot of, and then just some execution differences are the difference in this race.
Yeah, falls are still a thing. It's possible, but.
And we saw PlasmaKappa was able to get the double one cycle, get a very nice, quick Ganon fight so far, so just needs to get 4 shots into the pig with the silvers, and he'll be the victor.
These ice rooms that Hitman's going through, they have a strategy with a little bit of RNG to throw you off, but that's just it. Ice, whenever one thing doesn't go right, and you're scrambling to contain the situation. But
all right, so Ganon goes down over on PlasmaKappa's side, so all PlasmaKappa will have to do is cross this bridge, and he will be the winner today. So get your GGs in chat for PlasmaKappa. He's able to take the win today.
Logging a time of about 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 11 seconds. We will get an interview invite out and see if we can talk to him about this a little bit here today. As Hitman, I'm just going to go ahead and finish this climb. Might as well.
Yep, it's that's unfortunately this will be the end of Hitman's run, so we're gonna take a nice little bit extra time to finish out this tournament with a finish seed.
Miss Kappa, what's up? GG.
GG.
Any first thoughts on that seed?
Oh well, thanks to Cocaine. Made me go up the Spike Cave for nothing.
Yeah, Hitman did that later too, but you know, there was some good, some bad smugly for everybody here today. He's probably already here on the delay, you already know, I'm sure, but just a little bit behind it. He did a Lamola's clear, hoping for the play there. I thought we were going to see some Pot or Eastern looking for that bow, but neither one of you did that. So.
No, I really did not want to go over there.
Yeah, I can't blame you.
Yeah, it seemed like it kept being like Pod is next, but then you get the very last chest would be something that bails you out of going to Pod with the Titan's Knits and the hook shot and the bow. So it's very nice to be able to dodge that.
Oh yeah. Because like, I've got green pendant skull and bow was Eastern. I might as well. I don't have any other good item.
So you will be moving on to play Jewel Ninja in the losers round 3. Any thoughts on the matchup coming up?
Oh, that'll be fun. I trust the very memey matchup.
Yeah.
Hitman puts what was that 4 cycle down into Aga 2, and we had to get to be making some bacon here in short order.
And something that's a little interesting about this seed is that going up to Turtle Rock without the ice rod, it definitely makes a lot of sense. And the one thing that could have happened, though, if you would have done Smith Chain without going up there and gotten that bow first, it might have actually been like a detriment, because then you end up full clearing Palace of Darkness instead of go-honing it.
I mean, yeah, I was probably would have done Smith before Ice if I didn't have 2 medallions. And of course I got that Ether out of Desert. So, yeah. That's enough for me to go to TR first.
Yeah, with the Mountain having Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny and all of TR, and you still need the bow or the ice rod, it just seemed like such a good play to do, because the odds of something being up there, it makes it worth the risk of a double dip.
Yeah, we were kind of postulating that's what everybody was going to do, and sure enough. And the ice rod itself wasn't even too bad, it's just right there in the front, so a little bit of feel good for you.
And meanwhile, Hitman's making his way through the Ganon fight. He does have a fairy, I believe, so even though he's on 1 heart, it's not really any real danger. And also, this is the dangerous part of the fight that's pretty much over.
Phase 1 and 2 is the issue. So the only thing that could cause him to take a hit is a miscue. I mean, you might swap over during the switch to the lamp to drink some potion here. He knows it's over anyway, but yeah, so just gonna go ahead and try his luck. No big deal. If you fall, maybe you forfeit, but see, that was a little bit of a hair cinder, but there goes Pig. He done.
Yep,
Hitman.
he's in chat for Hitman. Put on a good show today, and anytime you can get a win in a tournament like this, you definitely are feeling all right, because this is just a stacked tournament. There's so many very good players in this tournament. So good games to Hitman, good tournament. So yeah, definitely give him your good games in chat.
Yeah, we had to get through, a third of at least of 15 qualifiers to get here is the big takeaway when you exit a tournament like this, and those qualifiers were a treat. Sarcasm.
Oh yeah, there were some gems in there.
Absolutely.
And looks like Hitman will be joining us for an interview as well.
He's just gonna get his talkie stuff set up here real quick, and we're gonna talk to Hitman1382. GG's too.
GG's.
Yeah, as we were talking to PlasmaKappa a little bit here, everybody had some running around to do, and all told, both put up some pretty good times given what the seed made you do. But you did a play to land mo, which I liked it. I do that kind of thing all the time. It's a good play if the bow is there. It's your game, but just not to be today. And there was a lot of other things went into it, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Figured I had the item on Lambo, and then if Ped came into play later on, that was there. But I mean, obviously with the bow, it wouldn't be a thing. But he's still looking for the ice rod at that point.
Yeah, and we were talking about Pedley, which sometimes that happens earlier than it did. But we had a discussion because there were a number of things that could have been there, and we found out what TR took to get into that kind of cut down on him. But so there were. Yeah, by our count now, 2 of the 3 pendant dungeons required, 1 for Ether and 1 for the flute.
Yep.
So, he had a lot of stuff to do, that's for sure.
It was a seed with a lot of breadcrumbs. He just basically followed one to the next spot.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Fire Rod.
Yeah. Yeah, hey man, you did get your fire rod pretty early. Did Hera and then went over there and got it and took that to Skullwoods in fairly short order. And yeah, that, as you say, breadcrumb trail, that did thin out at some point, only to send you on another one. But
Yeah, unfortunately, the early fire didn't really give me anything.
yeah, not really. It lets you get something else required earlier, but then that pushes something else off later, and rando evens out.
I do think that the early mountain did help you in the mid game because you got to do Skullwoods right away, and then your North Dark route into North Dark World into Catfish. That really, you actually made up a good amount of time on PlasmaKappa because after he got the flute and finished the North Dark World, he went up to the mountain and then had to come back for Skullwoods and then walk over to Catfish and do Zora. So it may not have helped directly, but just the way the items played out, I think going to the mountain first was helpful.
Yeah, I was really hoping there'd be something in the back of Skullwoods, but unfortunately, a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you both made the play for it, and that makes perfect sense as a green pendant. And still an item you're looking for, and I guess I forget which one in his case, it was still 2 at that point, but you were making, in Plasma's case, the second trip, and in your case, Hitman, the first trip across North Dark World to get to Pod, which is what I think everybody was going to do. There was potions getting bought to do potions glitch, and then the hookshot showed up in First Sphere. So you were pretty synced at that point. So there were points you split, you came back, you split, you came back, and so yeah, it was a fun race to watch for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. After game match, I mostly just did dungeons, aside from a DP pit stop.
How did you guys feel about that Sphere 1's hook shot that neither of you guys got until like 40 minutes in?
I was like, oh, wonderful. I'm not doing pod anymore.
Yeah.
Same here. Went straight to Swamp after that.
Yeah, I think that was about the latest that the hook shot could have been where it didn't really inconvenience you guys, because if that had been somewhere like in Palace of Darkness, then you might feel a little bit more annoying. That gave you the option to just full clear, not go into unclearable pod, and instead go to full clearable swamp.
Yeah. At that point, I know it's gonna be there. I don't have any medallions, so I'll just do LSS first. Why not?
All right, and so thanks for coming in for the interview. Do you have any closing thoughts? We actually have to end this a little bit early just because we've got another match on this same channel very shortly.
Nope.
Just thanks for doing the commentary and the restream, and Kappa, good luck on your next one against Jewel and NJ. He's a tough opponent.
Thank you. Thank you all for the production. Nice racing you, Hitman. And
all right, well, thanks again to our runners, and thanks to our tracker, JLo, as well, for helping us out today and pressing the buttons on the tracker. Thanks to my co-commentator, Scupula. Also, make sure to follow the SpeedGaming channels. We've got SpeedGaming with no number, and then SpeedGaming 2 through 6 that you should follow if you're interested in programming like this in the future. There's a link to the past Randomizer League going on. There's there's this SGL tournament. So there's plenty of matches on basically all day. So definitely give those a follow if you want to catch more programming like this.
Yep, and then that next match we just mentioned is going to be right here in SpeedGaming 5, and it's going to be an ALTTPR open invitational league match between Scary Olive and RD Walsh. It's going to be cross keys, as it's still cross keys week, and there's a lot of teams still got matches to play. So if you want to see that, just don't do nothing. Stay right here. That being said, I've been Scupula, he's been Dane8373, and you've been all great viewers, so we will catch you next time.